What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dissect That Film Slice of TV, where we sit down and we talk about our favorite TV shows that are happening right now, or even ones that maybe have been out for a while. But today we're talking about episode 2 of Marvel Studios' newest show, Moon Knight. This episode was definitely a little bit of a different turn than what we got in episode 1. We definitely got more Steven. We got a lot more Mark, and we got to see some really cooler effects. The effects were still kind of wonky in this episode, and I feel like they're not really going to get crazy better. But overall, I enjoyed the heck out of this episode, and I am looking forward to where this is going. The episode, of course, is called Summon the Suit, which we get to see a couple in this episode. Now, if you're new to this show, we do spoilers. I'm going to try to go over the things that I liked and I disliked about the episode before I get into spoilers, and then I'll let you guys know when I get into spoilers, and you can stop, go watch the episode, come back, and finish watching when you're good and ready. So yeah, today this was an episode that really, there was a lot more action. There was a lot more backstory. We got to learn more about Mark. We got to learn more about Khonshu, who is the moon god that Mark has kind of that's where Mark gets his powers to become Moon Knight. And we get to hear more from Ethan Hawke's character, Harrow, or Harrow, however you say it. It's all very interesting. It's all very intriguing. We get to meet Layla in person. She was just a voice on a phone in episode 1, so to be able to see her in person, to kind of get her backstory and what she's up to and what her relationship is with Mark, because Steven is clueless. He has no idea what the hell's going on in his life. He's just kind of thrust into this. Now, the thing is like, the thing that confuses me about this show is like, where was Steven the whole time? So how long has Mark been Moon Knight? How long, we had Mark was a mercenary. He was doing things outside of Steven. How long has Steven been around for? How does Steven not know, like, what happens to him when they kind of switch? Because pretty much what has to happen is the host has to kind of give up his body to the other, to the avatar, as they would say in the show. And it's just kind of, I'd like to know like what the history is behind these two characters, because in retrospect they're the same person, but they're not. They're two completely different people. The thing that really pulls you in is the fact that like they don't just, you have Steven and he doesn't know what the hell's going on, and Mark is, in the mirrors, he's kind of projecting himself, let me, give me control, let me say, let me, save people and all that. And Steven's very reluctant because he just doesn't know what the hell's going on. He just thinks he's having like a mental breakdown, and he's discovering things. He's willing to turn himself in just to kind of make this all go away. It's very intriguing. Oscar Isaac sells it as both Steven and Mark, with the, pretty much like the fact that it doesn't matter how much he's being persuaded to say, oh no, this is all a ruse. This is just Mark playing a game. No, this is a real disorder. This is really something going on where these are two different people, two different lives, two different personalities, and it's trying to figure out how to coexist and also, go through with what Mark has to do in his life. Overall, I love it. Ethan Hawke is phenomenal as Harrow. He's just so soft-spoken, and that's what's terrifying. And the fact when we talked last week, there was the opening scene of the show of him putting the glass in his shoes, and the fact that like every time Steven or Mark, well, mostly it was Steven, was around his character, he's walking, you can hear the glass in his shoes. He's always walking around with glass in his sandals, and you can always hear him every time. Even when he's talking, you can hear the slight crunching, and it's just like very, very weird. We do get some comedic moments because it's Marvel. You know, you got to have those comedic moments where, the events of the first episode happened and there's kind of no proof. And it's one of those things where it's like Steven just, makes it out like Steven's crazy. And that's what he thinks he is. He thinks he's just something is going on inside his head and he needs to figure it out. And, he's talking to kind of himself in the mirror with this, with an American accent and all that stuff. And he's just, what is happening? Get out of my head. I don't want this life. And even when people are being thrown back into his life, at least Mark's life, and Steven has no idea who they are, it's like, I'm not him. I'm this person. I'm Steven. It doesn't matter what you say to me. I'm Steven. And it lasts a long time in this episode where kind of at a point you're like, come on, Steven, just give it to him. Come on, man, just give it to him. And eventually he does. All right, we're gonna hop into some spoilers right now. I figured, for people who do these type of shows and don't like and can do like 25, 30 minutes of non-spoilers, bravo to you. I just want to hop into spoilers. So if you haven't seen episode 2 of Moon Knight, make sure to go watch it and then come back and finish watching this because I'm gonna spoil the shit out of it. So yeah, so this episode pretty much opens up to Steven waking up in his bed and him kind of like rushing out of bed. And of course he's chained to his bed and just everything is just kind of, it's like a whirlwind. He wakes up, he goes to his job and, from the events that happened in the prior episode, he runs into the security guard and he's like, dude, let me show you something. Let's watch the security video. Let's see what's going on, and I'll prove it to you, man. It's gonna blow your mind. And then the security guard pulls up the footage, and there's nothing. It just shows Steven kind of running around the museum, almost breaking stuff and tripping and all that. And it's just like, well, yep. I guess I'm crazy. I guess this is just, I don't know what's happening until he walks out of the bathroom and he looks up at the camera and it's that look on Oscar Isaac's face that really puts it out there that ain't Steven. That's Mark. So of course he gets fired from his job because the security cameras just show him in there. And I love it. I think he's dealing with like human resources and they're trying to be very supportive because, they're like, okay, he's having a mental breakdown. There's clearly something going on with him. We need to get him some help. And, and Steven's kind of all on board with it. He's like, yep. I probably should do all those things you just said and carry on. And I really like this HR character who is, he's doing a good job with, being supportive to this person who kind of, did a lot of damage and should be, getting, go to jail, and all that stuff. But he's very like, the museum's not pressing charges. We want to get you help, in this. And he even says it's like, this might be the HR in me, but, we're here. It was either we're here for you or, you're not alone. That was it. It was, you're not alone, which I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm glad that they kind of gave, this kind of throwaway. I mean, it was kind of a throwaway character, but they gave this HR character like, a heart. Even, if it's something he has to say, he does it with kind of with that confidence and that generosity, the genuine, feedback to Steven to kind of be like, hey, yeah, he needs to go get some help. But instead of being rude about it, he's really cool. And Steven is all on board. Then I believe he tries to find the locker that's Mark's because he has the key and he has the phone. So he's traveling around London trying to find this storage unit. And he finally finds it because he runs into a guy who's like, yeah, I recognize you. But of course it wasn't him. They go to the storage locker and it's like a cot and he's got like bags of money and passports and, stuff like that. And I always like the conversations between Mark and Steven and the fact of like, in reality, if you think about it, like the behind the scenes of this, it's got to be pretty funny. Like, did Oscar Isaac just stare at a mirror and just kind of talk to himself and kind of have to like play that back and forth? I thought that was really cool. Always intrigued with that. So Steven is kind of like, you know what? This is crazy. You're crazy. I'm crazy. I'm just gonna run away. I'm gonna take this stuff. I'm gonna turn myself in. They're gonna lock me up and I'll escape from you. And Steven's like, not a good idea. So he, tries to run away, and that's when Khonshu shows up. Now, when we saw him in the first episode, I don't know, I don't remember if they say his name in the first episode. Even I might have even talked about it in the when I reviewed the first episode of the show, but yeah, Khonshu shows up, and I love these shots of him in like where it's like the darkness and like lights are turning on and like he gets really close and stuff like that. Those are really eerie. There are other shots of him in this episode that are kind of like, they kind of throw me off. And as much as I love the voice of F. Murray Abraham, I do not like him as the voice of Khonshu. I feel like there should have been. He's not as, like, this character is supposed to be very intimidating and kind of scary in a way, and he kind of doesn't put that vibe off for me. Like, I was kind of thrown, like, when you hear him in the first episode, I'm like, all right, this isn't too bad. But then you start seeing him and you see Khonshu and he's talking. I mean, he doesn't, the way that the character is designed, there's no lips. You don't get to see a face. He has like this long bird face. But he's like a massive man. He's got this huge staff. He's got the crescent moon on his chest. But he kind of throws it off with the voice. And yeah, I think that's my gripe with this show is the fact of, like, I feel like you could have gotten somebody, like, I feel like if you're playing an Egyptian god, maybe get somebody of that origin. Somebody, of that origin who is a very, like, just rough, like, it just has that, like, rough voice, somebody who's very, who can kind of put that scary, like, holy shit, I'm not going to mess with that guy. But, ain't going to change now, so I guess I have to get used to it. I think it just kind of throws me off, especially the way that you see this character in this episode. It's just like, all right, we'll keep going. So, Steven runs into Khonshu, and then he goes home, or he runs away, and then he runs into Layla. Now, and then, she's like, she thinks it's Mark because she knows Mark. She doesn't know Steven. So she's like, why are you talking like that? Why are you acting like that? Why are you doing this and that? And then she puts out there that she's his wife. And you're like, oh shit. And even Steven's like, I have a wife? he's kind of like happy about it. And they go back to his house, and he's just like, I'm not Mark. Like, I'm Steven. This is my mom's flat. I live here with my fish. And I don't really, cool. Like, I don't know what you want from me. And, she states that, Mark wanted a divorce because he wanted to protect her. And Steven's like, I love there's the line where Steven's like, I wouldn't divorce you. And I thought that was a really cool line that, kind of, showing the vulnerability of Steven and just how kind of desperate he is for love. And in his situation, he doesn't really know what to do. And I love, like, the fact of Steven wants to show her the scarab, which is the thing that Haro's been looking for. And, Mark's in the mirror telling him, don't do it. And then she finds it. And then you find out that she found it with Mark, like, on these expeditions. They used to go on adventures and stuff. And she knows about the suit, which what it is when she says it. So she knows that Mark turns into Moon Knight. And Steven is just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what's happening. Like, but then 2 cops show up. At least I think they're cops. And they come to question Mark. And in reality, they work for Haro. And they're trying to find the scarab. And they find the Mark Spector passports and the money and the stuff like that. So they bring Mark to, or sorry, well, I guess in reality, they bring Steven to Harrow. And to be honest, this was probably my favorite. I love kind of like a lot of people will be like, I don't like this, information dump of everything, but this kind of like the conversation between Harrow and Steven about Khonshu, about how Mark is an avatar for Khonshu because Khonshu saved his life. He was on the verge of death, and Khonshu kind of made a deal with Mark that he would do these deeds for him, and he would, keep him alive. And you find out that Harrow was the pride. Like you find out that Harrow was the Moon Knight before Mark, or if that was what he turned into. I'm not sure how. They really don't explain that um, to the full degree that you would think when it comes to the story. But yeah, you find out Harrow was the Avatar before Mark, and I do like the fact of like Khonshu. So Khonshu can only be seen by Mark or Steven. Um, it's kind of that spiritual thing, and like anything that is summoned can only be seen by Mark or Steven, which is interesting. So you have Khonshu kind of as Steven and Harrow are talking. You have Khonshu kind of like all over the place. He's like back in the balcony and stuff, and he's like he's kind of like talking shit, and and he can like physically move. So it's like when you watch a movie about ghosts, like things are being thrown around, but you can't see what's happening. And I love Harrow just kind of reacting to it, like throws a temper tantrum like a 2-year-old, and he pretty much knows like everything that Khonshu's saying. And even Steven's like, can you hear him? and and then the conversation kind of flips on its head because Harrow is kind of like, all right, I need the scarab, and he's like, I don't have the scarab. Sorry, don't know what you're talking. Don't I don't know what to do for you. And you think Steven is in rough shape until Layla comes in and is like, I got it. And that's when all hell breaks loose because they run away, and Harrow uses the staff that has a slim is like he says has a sliver of power from Amet, and he like uses it to summon this jackal, which is the same creature that you see in the first episode, and only Steven can see it, and he's I love the situations they're in. He's like, I'm gonna die, and they like run into this area. It's got a bunch of sarcophagi and stuff like that, and it's like, I'm gonna die in a I say it was like a crazy magician's like lair or something, which was I thought that gave me a chuckle. And he gets knocked out the window by the jackal, and Mark is like, summon the suit, and so Steven summons the suit after he bounces off of a few poles, which I'm like, oh, I figured he'd probably be dead, but I guess that's not how it works. And he summons I don't know what the name of it is, but it's the suit. It's the nice, suit. It's not the typical Moon Knight suit with the cape and stuff. This one is like a legit suit, and he's wearing the Moon Knight mask and stuff like that. So that's Steven's suit, I guess. And Steven's like, oh man, I look really cool. And it really does look cool. I really like this look for Moon Knight. And he tries to take on the jackal himself, and it's just not working. And of course, like Steven can see it, but like she can't. But the jackal's interacting with things, so like you're just seeing him getting thrown around by nothing. It's kind of like watching the Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss, and she's just getting picked up and thrown around, but you can't see what's actually doing it to her. It was kind of in that same vein. Even like Layla's getting attacked by it and all that, and it's kind of it's cool in a way, but it's also kind of it's weird. Like visually, it's kind of weird in certain spots where I was like, okay, all right. When is Steven gonna go away? I think that was like, as much as like I feel the Steven character is integral. Sorry, English is hard for me. I'm sorry, and I've been speaking it for 30 years. Steven is a very integral part of the story. But after a while, you're just like, can just Mark be here, please? And just finish this, please? Like, can we get more Mark, please? And, that's when after getting his ass kicked a few times by this jackal, that's when Mark shows up. He gives, Steven has to relinquish his body to Mark, and Mark turns into the Moon Knight we all know, with the cape, the hood, and all that. And this is where the visuals just get weird again. I don't know, man. I think so. For me, it's definitely the story. I definitely want to know what's going on. The performances from from Oscar Isaac, from Ethan Hawke. I can't remember what this actress's name, May Kalamawi. I thought she was really good. Those things are keeping me in this show. It's the visuals that are just like, what happened here? Did the budget, like, what was going on with the budget? I'm not sure what the budget is on this show, but it seems a little crazy that the visuals are kind of jarring for a 2022 Marvel Studios project. With the shows that we had from Marvel on Disney Plus prior to this, the visuals were so much better, and it's like the visuals just seemed very jarring in this. Like, to be honest, the jackal really didn't look great. When Moon Knight is like jumping around, when he's like scaling buildings and jumping around, because kind of looking like Batman, it just doesn't look fluid. It looks cartoonish, and it's kind of like weird. There was one scene where he's like running across a rooftop, and it was like, okay, that looks good, because it looks like it I think it was like an actual person running. And then it would get to the CG parts, and you're like, oh man, they really need to darken this just a little bit. Even though this scene takes place at night, I was still, I don't know. I hope it gets better, but to be honest, I feel like the visuals are just going to be consistent throughout this whole show. It's not going to be a jump. So I hope the visuals really don't scar this, where we're not going to get a Moon Knight season 2, if that's even possible. I mean, we're only 2 episodes into the show. We don't even know how this is going to end, but I really hope that the budget goes up a little bit just for visuals for season 2, whenever, that may be. It just, man, it throws me off, especially like, people were given a lot of crap to Halo with the way the visuals looked in Halo. And it's like, to be honest, Halo's visuals kind of look better than this. I mean, they actually do look better than this. There's certain aesthetics that kind of look the same, but it's like the visuals for a Marvel show should be so much higher, even if it is a TV show. Like I said, I don't know the budget. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on with it, but that's literally my only gripe. The story and the actors and the performances from these actors, that's what's keeping me in this show. Even if the visuals aren't, what I expect from a Marvel project, this show is a lot of fun. I'm having a great time with it. I can't wait to see how this continues. So yeah, actually, I didn't even finish what we were talking about. We were talking about what was going on. So, Mark takes control, and pretty much, he lures the jackal and kills it. And then you get this really, good conversation between Steven and Mark, where Steven is the one in the mirror, and he is, very confused. And Mark's like, listen, you just do these things. Everything's going to be okay. Once I complete my duties, you'll never see or hear from me again. And Steven is trying to get the body back, and Mark's like, well, somehow the host, is stronger now. So, good luck trying to get your body back. It's not going to happen. And yeah, and he destroys the mirror with Steven in it. And then Khonshu kind of is like, you're weak. I thought you said you had all this under control. And he's like, I'm going to have it under control. Don't you worry. He's like, yeah, okay. And Khonshu kind of comes off like he's not a great person. Like he has control over Mark. And then I guess like once Mark decides he doesn't want to be Moon Knight anymore, Khonshu goes and finds another host, or another avatar, as I should say. And I guess the one that he's looking at is Layla. So, yeah. And then it all ends with them traveling They wake up in a hotel room and they're in Egypt because he opens up the window and you see the pyramids in the back. And that's it. That's episode 2 of Moon Knight, Summon the Suit. If you watched this episode, did you like it? What were your pros and cons on it? Do you agree with me when it comes to the visuals? Is it jarring to you? Do you even give a shit? That's fine. Leave a comment down below and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. That'd be great. If you listen on podcast services, make sure to rate us anywhere you listen to us. So if you listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the new app Good Pods, make sure to leave us 5 stars if you enjoyed it. And if you can leave a review, always appreciate it. Would love to read more reviews from all you amazing viewers out there. Episode 1 performed, really good. I'm very excited to do this show and keep on making more content. So tomorrow, episode 49 of the podcast will be out, where we talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, The Dark Knight. And then we'll be back for another episode of Slice of TV when me and my friend Andrew Schoening sit down and talk about episode 3 of Halo. So until next time, I'm Brett Parker. This is Dissect That Film Slice of TV, and you all have a wonderful day. Bye.